All right, hey, what's up? Today we're going to talk about Georgia Tech's online master's program, and we're going to rank the classes that I took in tier list fashion. So let's get started. All right, so we're going to rank each class based on three things. First, is the content well presented? Like, even if the content may not be that interesting, do the teachers at least present it well? Second thing is the learning hands-on? So basically, instead of just reading a bunch of papers, do you actually get to do something that you could like show off for either a job interview or some kind of other thing? And third is the class mechanics. So is the class structured well? Do the teachers do a good job of making sure that students can be heard and getting feedback on their assignments? So first up is knowledge-based AI. So this class is traditionally taught by Professor Joyner. You'll learn about AI techniques in a kind of more traditional sense. And first of all, I would say that the content is very well presented in this class. You do get a lot of examples, you kind of get some videos and some papers. The learning is hands-on, I would say, because you definitely have to code a lot in this class. You end up doing a computer vision project at the end, which is really cool. And by the way, if any of these classes sound interesting to you, I've made a video for each and every single one if you want to go look at those for more details. And third, for this knowledge-based AI class, what are the class mechanics like? So I think Professor Joyner does a really good job of structuring his classes, actually. They're very fluid. You can talk to the TAs very easily. There's a bunch of office hours, and there's always like someone answering questions on the EdSTEM board. So I would give knowledge-based AI an A tier. Okay, next up, reinforcement learning. So this class was honestly pretty tough. You do a lot of programming, you also read a lot of papers, and you have to interpret those papers pretty thoroughly. So in terms of content, is the content well presented? Yes, I would say their content is extremely well presented. The professors make some really funny videos that you get to watch, and I'd say they know their stuff. Like, they talk about it in depth, they give great examples. So those videos are fantastic. The next thing is learning hands-on. So I would say this is definitely hands-on, but probably more studying and reading and kind of a little bit more busy work, I felt like, in this class. And then the class mechanics, yeah, I think the class mechanics were really good in this class. Like, I remember even the professors answering questions on the boards, and TAs were very responsive. So the grading is a little bit mysterious, and so that might be kind of tough. There are no auto graders, so you can't really see what you got wrong necessarily. You kind of just rely on what the TAs say in your submission feedback, which sometimes is a little bit sparse. So I would say that this class, reinforcement learning, gets a B tier. AI for robotics. So AI for robotics is personally one of my favorite classes. If you've seen my other videos, you probably know that by now. The content is extremely well presented. It's actually almost inspirational. I think it's like a really cool field. The content is super well made, and you get to learn some hands-on things in this class. Like, you learn a bunch of algorithms that are very relevant in robotics, and they explain them very well in the videos. So I would definitely say their hands-on experience is very good. And then the class structuring is also pretty good. I mean, I don't remember it being like a phenomenally great TA situation, but I think it was great still. It wasn't over the moon, but it was like a really interesting, well-presented class. So this AI for robotics class gets an S tier. All right, next up is machine learning for trading. So machine learning for trading is well presented. I would say that some parts are a little bit slow in the content. Like, you kind of go into it maybe thinking like you're gonna make, I don't think you need to make lots of money in this class or whatever, but I'd say that it's like kind of simplified. Like, they're probably trying to help the TAs grade the assignments, and that's fair. So the content, yeah, it's well presented. I would say like maybe they could take it up a notch with like how machine learning is done in real stock trading today. That would be really interesting to touch on. The hands-on learning is pretty good in this class. Like, each lab you do is related to some kind of aspect of stock trading. I would say the like ratios they use and the measurements they use of stocks, it may be a little bit old. I'm not a stock expert. If you want your stock advice, go to this channel linked above. But overall, I would say this class is pretty good. Like, it wasn't like blown away, oh, this is amazing and super interesting. The class mechanics, though, were very well organized. So I would also give this one a B tier. All right, next up is machine learning. So this one can be scary. Honestly, though, they give you a lot of leeway in how they grade. So you may turn in an assignment and get like a 65 on it, but you could still pull a B in the class. And I know that can be daunting for some people. The content is very well presented. So they'll explain the machine learning concepts to you very well and in depth. I would say that's a really great thing about this class. And the learning is, I would say it kind of suffers in like the hands-on aspect. You read a lot and then you kind of assign some projects that you're supposed to write about. But I don't know, it just felt like there was some kind of disconnect between like what we were reading and then what we were expected to write about. I don't know, that's just how I felt about the class. So personally, I would say that this is probably like a C tier class. I would say you could get the most out of it by just watching the videos and maybe doing some of the labs. But yeah, overall, I'd say it's like a C tier class. All right, next up is AI. So this class was honestly really interesting. They do really well at presenting the information to you about AI. I would say that their hands-on learning is also pretty good. It is really intense. So like, you're gonna be programming a lot and you're gonna need to understand Python really well, plus NumPy and linear algebra. So like, it's not an easy class. That being said, the class mechanics are really good. Like, they have a ton of support on their EdSTEM boards. But again, I would say like, prepare yourself for this class with Python experience and linear algebra experience. That being said, this was an amazing class, I think. Like, I would rank it at an A tier, even though it is like super challenging. I'd say it's like really interesting concepts, and they're giving you a lot of hands-on learning that you can show off to like an employer or other things in your life. Like, it's a really cool project. Okay, next up is computer networks. So I may have some bias in this because I work in networking, but I thought it was a really well presented class. Sometimes it felt a little slow. You do a lot of quizzes and like, sure, you can like memorize the answers to some of these things and like forget them the next day or whatever. So, I mean, it does seem a tiny bit boring. I mean, networking in general is kind of like, well, you just need it to work, right? Hands-on learning in this class, though, is like super good. You do a bunch of labs that, honestly, in my job, I use that knowledge to do my job in networking. So, like, yes, it's super relevant hands-on learning. And then the class mechanics I thought were great too. So I'm gonna give this one, it's a tough choice, but I think I'll give it a B. Even though I really like the topic, yeah, computer networks class, probably a B, just because some of the content was a little bit slow, and I still think it's great hands-on experience if you're interested in that subject. All right, next up is human-computer interaction. So this one with the content, like, it's pretty general, I would say. I mean, it talks about design and like how you want to make apps interact with humans and stuff like that. So it did feel kind of like simplified, I guess, or maybe like a little bit obvious of some of the content that they presented, but they did present it well. So then the next question is like, is the learning hands-on? I mean, yeah, you do a bunch of projects that are related toward design. It does feel kind of like busy work though. Like, you're not, I don't know, taking it up a notch with the design of things. You're kind of like filling out boxes and writing some check marks and stuff like that. The class is well structured. Like, you do have a lot of support from TAs and stuff because it's a joiner class. And so, yeah, the TAs are really helpful. So yeah, in that case, like, I would say it's like maybe a C, because it's just so like vague. I mean, if you're looking, honestly, not to be mean, I'm just saying if you're looking for like an easier class one semester that you need to help with, you know, busy life change or something, this is a good class for that. Like, you won't be grinding it out at night. Like, you just kind of have to do the assignments and move on. So yeah, I would say it's like a C tier class, human computer interaction. AI, ethics, and society. So yeah, the class is well presented. There's honestly some pretty interesting topics in there. Is it hands-on? I mean, as much as I think it can be. And then, is the class well structured? Yeah, it's well structured, and like, the projects aren't too bad. I would say that maybe the content was just a little bit boring. So I would say like maybe a B tier for the AI Ethics and Society class, although it is a nice class to take if you want to take it easy a semester. All right, graduate algorithms. So full disclosure, I ended up withdrawing from this class, and I mean, yeah, it's tough. It's like really harshly graded. I've heard people say though that like they could do it just fine. So I mean, it depends, I suppose. The content though is well presented. Like they do a really good job at explaining the concepts and like the algorithms, and it's really interesting to watch, honestly. The hands-on learning, so the main complaint I have about graduate algorithms is you do most of your assignments in pseudocode, which at the end of the day, like it kind of helps you out, but if you need to run an algorithm for something, you'll end up doing that in real code, and there's a lot more nuance to that than just writing pseudocode. So I would give this probably like a D tier, mainly because it's like more theoretical than you do hands-on. You can't really show off the algorithms you make for anything. Yeah, I would say like it definitely needs some work. Like if they introduce more programming into it, I would say that bumps it up a lot. And the content though is really cool. Okay, so the last one is software development process. Yeah, in here you're teamed up with some other classmates, and honestly, it's not that bad. Like I've heard in the past that it used to be kind of terrible, but they may have changed it recently because when I took the class, all I did was just pair up with like two other classmates for the whole semester. And that made things a lot simpler. So it was easy to coordinate, and we had to just make an Android app by the end, which like wasn't too complicated. And the main focus of this class is like the process, like it's in the name, of how you develop that software. So the content, yeah, it's well presented. Like honestly, as an engineer, that kind of stuff is super relevant. And then is the learning hands-on? Yes, definitely. Like it almost felt like, just my normal job. I work for Microsoft, so I definitely know what it's like to work in software engineering. And this class, I felt like did a good job of like mirroring that for the classroom setting. And then last thing is the class mechanics. I mean, yeah, they're really good. The TAs are super responsive. The lab printouts are like very clear and organized. So I would definitely give this class an A tier. Thanks for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you in the next one.